We are live, guys. From the Tift Theater, we got Mr. Mittens, Mr. Daniel Garcia, creative Xyber Ronin, and we are live for the first ever artist expo in the Tift Theater. How you guys doing?
I'm alive.
We're alive.
You're alive.
First, I will give a shout out to Monster, who unfortunately could not make the trip from Ohio. He is still successfully running Cobra, and he is up there. So right now we are live and without him, unfortunately. We'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Zone Collectibles, who's across the road. We have the downtown, what is it, the downtown Second City? I should know this. I apologize. But
Just Monday.
yeah, we got the downtown festival downtown. We're at the Tift Theater. Mr. Daniel came all the way from Miami. He is signing copies. This beautiful book right here.
It's a preview book.
It's a preview book.
Yeah, it's a full color, first 6 pages of it.
But you know what they could also get? One of these sweet puppies right here with a ZOA. A ZOA, guys.
Fantastic. Of authenticity.
There you go. There you go. So how's you guys' week been?
Long
and tumultuous?
Yes, work is working is unfun. But it's what you do to make money to spend things on that you do want to do.
See, this is why we keep Mittens around. Mr. Mittens, he loves to bring everyone down by 3 knocks.
It's great. So it's either here or be in sunny, hot Florida. I'd rather be here.
Hey, you know what? We'll take it any day of the week, brother. We'll take it any day of the week. So, as you see, we got people coming in and out. We have the Artist expo behind us. There's a ton of great artists out there, Fox Crafts, numerous artists. I don't want to butcher anyone's names. But come downtown, check us out. And right now, we're just going to, Mr. Daniel's got a signing over here. We got people in and out. So it is chaos. So, how was your nerd week, Sky?
It's been a long, fun weekend. So there's a lot of great artists here today.
It is.
Excited to be back on your show. Regular now. So thank you.
You are regular. You are part of the team now. I mean, you got your own swag, brother. I mean, we all got, our swag's on. You probably see it in the back here. We got the logo going. There's Mittens. Product placement. He does well. He is very, very good at product placement.
Yes.
So let's just kick off. Tell us about what we have Xyber Ronin, bro.
So the first issue was done in full color. Now it's getting better this week. Hopefully we'll be done by next Saturday. We'll have the entire book done. And then off to all the backers' hands in the next 2 weeks or so. And we'll have everyone fulfilled and all the orders done. And we'll go on to whatever else is happening next. Number 2 is on page number 5. The rough designs and all this good to go. And then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Hassel does have a little bit going on. Thanks to Mr. Daniel, he has inspired me and encouraged me to kind of do some things that I have wanted to do for quite a while. So I have actually completed the script for the first issue of Pendragon and the first issue of War Cloud the Dire Wolf. So
and they both sound really, it reads great. So
we're in the process of getting into finding an artist and shopping around a little bit so that we can. I have Mr. Dana Black has graciously done some art for me for a pen, so we have those characters fleshed out visually. We still have to flesh out the characters for War Cloud, but
and Dana does a good job. And, he's a big talent. The artist of Xyber Ronin has done a fantastic job also. Roberto Art is someone else that I've been working with on Atomic Fan. He's a fantastic artist. It's hard to find folks that are as passionate as we are.
It is. And thankfully, Mr. Garcia has been gracious enough to let my characters play in his universe. So I am super excited to have another part of Dang Comics. And hopefully we'll see the Dire Wolf and Rock Wraith doing a little dynamic dueling soon.
Yeah. We got a lot of great stuff going on. Just got to get over the hurdle of the Kickstarter production, which is always challenging. So anybody that wants to make a comic, just know that it's a lot of work.
Yeah, there's a lot of sleepless
It's
nights.
a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of worrying whether you get, how you get stuff done, and getting stuff done on time. Anybody that wants to get into the industry, just know it's a labor of love 9 times out of 10.
There's a ton of moving parts beyond your portion of it.
Yeah. So it's not only having the time to write ourselves, right, as writers, but then it's also getting the talent together, and then making sure the talent has the time and the want to get things done. And then, of course, there's the financial aspect of it, which can be kind of pricey. So,
Yeah.
And then, worrying about getting it all pieced together, especially if you're not as computer savvy as some folks are. I'm not computer savvy. I have to rely heavily on some people to help me make these things work. So, yeah, it can be challenging.
Do you find it hard at all, like convey with your artists, like, okay, this is what I'm expecting out of this page or panel, or do you just like fully trust them? Like, look, this is my breakdown of the page. It's in your hands.
Yeah, I think it depends on the artist. It depends on their seasoned artists, if they're tenured artists, they've been doing it for a while, they're professional. Generally, those artists will charge a little more for their ability to do what you're describing now, which is you write something out, you go to them, they go, oh yeah, I got that, I got this, no worries. And they'll pencil it for you, they'll send you an example, a copy of what it looks like, and you need to be able to direct that.
Yeah.
And some artists who are maybe newer to this need a little more directing. So you're directing the comic. You're saying, no, turn this this way, no, look at this way. So you as the creator, you're also directing. So a long-winded answer, but this depends on the artist.
Okay. So I mean, and then obviously once you get done with that, you've got inks, you've got letters, you've got coloring. Yeah.
So so you go from pencils and inks, and usually your pencil will be your ink.
Okay.
Will be your ink. So your pencil, your ink, then it goes to colors. Then from colors it goes to letters. So if you're fortunate enough, as I mentioned before, to be talented enough to do all of that yourself, you save yourself a ton of money.
Yeah. I am not.
No, and I am not either. So for everyone out there that wants to make comics, one comic, I'm going to show you an example. One comic, the creation process for this is around $2,000. So just to put letters, colors, pencils, inks, the placement of the logo, everything. This is around $2,000.
Okay. So you got an idea, people, when you're ready to kick this off. So I got $4,000 to come up with.
So it's pricey. So that's why Kickstarter is held. Taking your time and getting the books done helps also. So you go kind of at your pace. And then there's the challenge of,
How you guys doing?
well, I want to kick out more than one book a quarter or a month.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't. Sometimes you need to do one book every 4 months. Even the guy that did Ceres, Sims.
Mm-hmm.
I think his stuff only came out once every 6 months or once every year.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's probably, I think he was the penciler, the inker, and the.
So it's a long process.
So just anybody who wants to get into comics, it's a process. It's a labor of love. You really got to want to make comics.
And then unless you're fortunate enough to just get signed by one of the big three, right?
Unless
But then again, I mean, being a creative person, or do you want to be confined within those bounds of, what you can and can't do with characters? Like with our characters, we do what the hell we want to.
Right, and that's the beauty of being an independent publisher. Is that, there's some editing, right? Like, so we'll edit each other and we'll make sure stuff and say, it doesn't sound so good. Maybe make it sound like this. I agree. But with going to a mainstream publisher, then the editing is a little harsher. And then not just that, but working under a publisher, whether it's mom and pop or someone that's a bigger publisher, you give them a cut of whatever you make.
Yeah.
So some publishers will say to you, all right, I want to distribute your book and put it all together for you. But I want this revenue back. So,
Not only that, you lose control of your character too. There's nothing worse than like these characters, especially like the '70s and early '80s for Marvel. You created all these jam up characters for these big publishers and even DC, but they don't have control of this character. Once they leave there, it's like they just got left a subway job or something, you know. And their character stays behind. And unfortunately, if they try to monetize any money off their own character later in life, they get sued by one of the big companies.
So that's a good point to bring up. So anybody that's looking to get into comics that wants to work with a publisher, when you're signing a contract, there's a gentleman that I know who does colors for Marvel. He's actually coloring aliens.
Okay.
And he's a super talented guy. And
how cool would it be to color Salvador Ortega's art?
And he's a big Salvador Ortega fan.
As am I, man. So that's cool.
Yeah, he's a huge
Very
fan
cool.
of his art. And his colors are amazing. He's amazing colors. All of his contracts. And he doesn't speak English. So he had to get it translated. But contracts are another thing, is making sure that you're reading all the same points so that
even the little big line at the bottom, that's fine.
And see, I am guilty of this. I did not do that.
no, you
How many times you click, yeah, I've read these terms and conditions. You did not. You scroll through the bottom of the son of a bitch and you say, click, I don't have time.
Yeah,
I mean, even in buying a home, I've done this right here.
yeah.
You know,
It's
so
dangerous. Next thing you know, you're selling your soul to the devil. So a good friend of mine signed a contract with a small publisher, and he was super excited to get his book out. And then he did pretty well. Then he didn't read the fine print at the bottom. They were responsible for printing the stuff.
Mhm.
Well, they were charging like $4 a book to print.
Wow.
In order to print the book, if you go through, I'm gonna give Comics Wellspring a shout out here. If you go to Comics Wellspring, a 20-page book will cost you around $260, roughly $260. Shipping and handling, you're looking at it's around $3 free and change by the time you're done. Well, these guys were charging, I think it was like $4 or $5 a book to print. So then what they said to him was that he didn't make any money until after he broke the $500 mark.
Yeah.
So unless he made $500 or more, he didn't get a profit. So read the fine print. There's a ton of other printers out there that will print for you and not charge you as much. But they have
You get what you pay for as well.
Yeah,
So for anyone out here who's bitching and moaning about the price of independent comics, you see why. I mean, to get your product out there, it's almost a labor of love. It's like you're sacrificing your own profit just to get your product out there to be known, to maybe get to that next level, or just to see it visualized. Because I mean, I can imagine as a creator as yourself. I mean, how cool is it for you to see this right here reach people's hands, knowing that this was something that you sat in bed one night and started cooking up in your mind, and then over time, it's more and more you just kept fueling.
Yeah, it's exciting. My bank account is happy. But at the end of the day, as I mentioned before, if you really, really like it, and it's something you want to do, it's a hobby like, I don't know, collecting comics or taking up soccer or football or something. It's a hobby like anything else. It's just a more expensive hobby. That's the way I look at it. And if you make any money off that hobby, that's great.
So issue 1, it's almost ready out of the can, ready to go. You mentioned you're up to 5-10 pages deep into getting all the art on issue 2.
Yeah, issue 2 is looking great. Michael Oliveira, he's on my Daniel Garcia page on Facebook. Go check him out.
He is on the Nerdy Mandarin page too on Facebook. Yeah, super great guy. We love him to death. He supports the show. He's an amazing fellow. Amazing.
I have his care package that I've had it for several months because it's so expensive. It ships up to Brazil. So I'll get you your stuff soon, buddy.
But before issue 2 rolls out, you got a little something else around the corner, don't you?
So we've been working on Atomic Man, and then that's going to lead into some other stuff with Pastor and myself. Atomic Man is 10 pages deep. Roberto Art, another Facebook gentleman who lives in Mexico, who was just amazing to work with, easy to work with. He's not going to rip you off. He's going to just follow, your script to letter of the team. Whatever he's going to work with you. Once that is done, I'm hoping to get out with Haas and myself. We're hoping to put out together as well. A Rock Wraith, and it's going to be a precursor to Atomic Band. So it's kind of, then Atomic Band lives in the same universe as Cyber. So, and then hopefully our characters you create, hopefully have all those permanents. So I'm figuring sometime in January.
So just keep your eyes peeled. In case we give you a shout out here on the show, baby. Thank you. We wish you were here too. Much prayers and love to you and the family as you guys are, recovering from the Rona. So we got you, baby. He was giving us a little shout out here, but so January. That's very close around the corner too. So there's a lot of things down the pike. That's you got quite a publishing company brewing here.
It takes time and money. And support. So everyone that supports us, coming up here from South Florida, we figured that just for us, the big part of it was just visiting the cabins, the folks in the zone. So, again, a labor of love.
And we've been very fortunate, like I said. You didn't have to give us the time of day, and it was a blossoming podcast. You did. You come on the show, and a great friendship was founded out of it, and we've just been blessed. Thanks. So, Mr. Mittens, I know you give us an idea for a character. Just off the cuff here.
Can't be cat related.
No, it can't be Mittens related. But I will say that could make, and somebody has some legit pops out here somewhere. I haven't seen the vehicle yet, but I'm sure our listeners.
Sounds nice.
It sounds pretty good. Got a little load to it.
Yeah. The echo off the sides doesn't do very
And
well.
I just seen this stuff forward. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We apologize to our listeners for listening to this forward. Kevin Clady,
Shame.
much love to you across the street at the Zone. Thank you so much.
Well, now if I'm coming up with a character off the cuff, and you have numerous heroes that y'all are working on, then you would need villains.
Oh yeah.
And seeing as
Okay, maybe that's a little better. Give us a bill.
well, seeing as I've been playing a game recently that involves cybernetics and stuff.
Okay,
and
you literally just told me about you creating your character's genitals earlier.
Yes, I did. They're large, girthy. Anyway,
Much like him, ladies.
With your character being a cybernetic rabbit, it would definitely have to involve someone with cybernetics as well, or at least control over cybernetics. That way, he would have to overcome someone with maybe a higher technological base than himself. As far as species, I wouldn't know that yet.
What about an alien hunter?
That
Not like the predators per se. I'm talking about
bounty
redneck alien hunter.
Mm.
Like he wants his fur, his pelt.
That's great.
That or kind of like the
Like a bionic knife like this big.
well, you would need him to have like somehow figure out how you would have to write it with an almost hick accent, but still
absolutely.
be incredibly
Very,
intelligent.
very, very leatherheadish.
Yes.
From Ninja Turtles.
Yes, but still be really intelligent and make you feel kind of stupid whenever he's talking.
Like you're beneath him
Yeah.
for being an earth creature.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. See, this is how it happens, people. It just flows. The bullshit flows from
So
us.
speaking of which, did you guys watch the new Predator movie?
I did. We watched Prey this weekend.
I have not had a moment. Well, I've had moments, but
If we had a shame sign, we would put it on Mittens right now.
I'm a gamer.
Well, what did you think of the movie?
I loved it, actually. I went into it with very low expectations. I'd seen some things. How you guys would? I'd seen some things that wasn't real shit. But I was hooked within a few minutes of the movie starting. I loved it. I wound up. Well, here's the thing. Like, we started watching this movie, and I was like, yeah, it's only a couple hours long. Next thing I know, I done watched it, Predator 1, and was into Predator 2 before I realized it's like 12:45, and I need to go to bed. I have to work the next day. So I just got like into it. But yeah, I would. It's got very high rewatch factor for me. And did you know that the dog was actually a rescue from Fulton County?
Yes.
Like, how cool is that?
Carrie did a lot of the research on it. We figured that out. And she did her own research, and I think she said it was what kind of dog was it? What kind of dog was it?
I didn't know. I was kind of wondering that.
Very, very low.
And the dog was like good on his scenes. But when he was off camera, apparently he was like a lunatic.
Really?
She was.
Well, I did see that the role initially was supposed to be a very small role, and then the crew just fell in love with the dog, and it wound up becoming a much bigger role. And then I think test screenings, give them some of that too.
So true story. Before the movie started and the dog came out, first couple scenes. Can I bring up?
Yeah, come on over, Miss Carrie. We have a guest star, Miss Carrie. She is the power behind Mr. Garcia. She keeps him in line and she keeps him on the road.
This is my manager, by the way. She's check.
I've been a poor manager.
No, she's not.
You were selling the hell out of some tickets earlier, so you got it.
If it wasn't for her, I'd probably be in a ditch somewhere. I've been rolled a couple times and then walked with them. So I want to thank her. So before the movie started, she goes, "That's a cute dog. If it dies at the end, I'm not watching this." So I had to look up, does it control?
Yes.
So you had to Google the spoiler for the end already.
The dog died at the end.
Yeah, because in the beginning part of it, that's all we were watching. This dog was so cute, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. So the dog dies, it's in it.
Well, there is that part where like it goes missing, and you're like, "Oh shit! Did the dog get got?"
And then, so not a spoiler, right? There's a part where the dog goes missing and something has happened to her. And she's losing her mind. She's like, "The dog is dead. I'm gonna kick your ass." Like,
Don't care about people.
Yeah, they didn't kill all them.
She didn't care. She's like, "That dog dies. I'm turning this movie on." So the dog had a really good role in the movie.
And we apologize to you Native American people who she didn't care about, but the dog.
Right, yeah. The dog is always there. Yes. So.
That sounded terrible, didn't
Care about you and your.
We just painted poor Miss Carrie as a hate monger on here.
It's just in general, it's just every person that's fun.
All right, so I have a question. What did you do?
Oh my god, I thought it was a great movie. I really liked it.
Give me some highlights. Without spoiling it or our buddy Keaton. Give me some highlights.
Death dismemberment.
I know.
There are some cool
Oh, well, there are
kills.
some really good kill scenes in there for sure. Like, really.
The kill scenes are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Any spine ripping out?
Spine ripping out.
Yeah. Oh, very, very early,
Yes.
actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
So
early.
I like that
It's
it was
always
a
great.
female. It wasn't just the fact that she was a warrior, that there were other things to it. I like that.
Okay, well, I think it's safe we can say this without spoiling.
Yeah.
How cool was it that like the Predator let her go a time or two because it didn't view her as a threat,
Right.
which is very,
Yeah.
reminiscent of the time.
Right.
So because the fellow warriors didn't see her as a hunter, even though the lioness hunts for the pride.
Correct.
They did not see her as a skilled hunter or warrior, and the Predator didn't either. So she escapes death
Yeah.
multiple times because of this.
Right, and he was kind of like,
They just like trudges past her one time. Like,
Yeah, but then she put kind of weird in her hands. For sure.
So she. You gotta watch it.
I'll watch it. I mean, you can tell me. I'll forget it in 30 minutes.
So she
He will.
Yeah.
He will.
practicing with an axe that she creates.
Yeah.
She makes the axe.
That was really cool.
Yeah. And then, and there are a couple scenes, I think that's a good point, where he doesn't see her as a threat, but then towards the end of the movie, then you see her be more of a threat. And it's kind of like.
How cool was it when she used that axe to escape the like quicksand type
Yes.
stuff, the mud and the swamp?
Right.
God,
I would have died.
yeah, oh yeah.
I just thought she
I
would've
literally,
died. Yeah, I would've been-
me and my fiance were watching this, and I said, as a child, I thought I would encounter a lot more
Yes.
quicksand, and I've encountered none in my
None
lifetime.
at all.
Like you see, it's like, movies had me convinced I was just going to like
quicksand's gonna.
Yeah, it's going to get me at some point.
The closest you can get is go to the beach and you do your feet on the beach like that until you start sinking.
No, it's just tiring.
Yeah, and that's it.
Especially for a
you
heavy
can't even
man
make your own
like me,
quicksand.
it is tiring.
That's a good point. As a kid, I was convinced that I was going to die via quicksand.
Yes. I mean, you just knew you were going to encounter this at some point in time, and I feel let
If you
down.
went into a new area
But I
of the
haven't.
woods, you're just like putting your foot out there trying to.
That and chainsaw wielding clowns. For some reason, I don't know. There's a big-
Mine was Jaws was gonna come through the fence. Or the
Ah.
turn, like, in
That's what's
between.
up.
I was pretty sure, so I'd always like look around, turn around, watch what happened.
Fun story. We had when we were little. Literally we're like 5. Me and my cousin, we grew up like brothers. He had a toy Jaws, and we're in this little shallow wading pool. And me, I'm an asshole, even at 5. So I grabbed the Jaws and I put it in the water, and I'm like, dun 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 dun. And the music, and I'm just playing at first, and then he screams at a girl. So then, me being hassle, even at a young age, I realized I like making people scream. So then I start. Yeah, I got in trouble. I think I switched legs. So
I don't want to story. My mom was here. I would tell the story, but she was broken English. So they took me to the theater to watch Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
I saw Jaws in the movie theater.
Oh wow!
I was little. I'm not that old.
You also were taken to see Exorcist too.
I was taking to see M Street 1 at 5. Just saying.
Yeah. My parents took me to see the Andy the Bar. Oh Lord. And Jaws.
You were winning, pal. I'm gonna be honest.
And Conan, by the way.
That's what's up.
Oh, now that would be awesome.
So that probably has a lot to do with why I'm missing today. So during the Jaws movie, someone said and called out fire. It's really causing a theater scene. So, everyone's running for fire exits. And my dad's like, nope, everyone stay seated. There's no fire. And everyone's like running out trying to get out of the movie theater. And we just sat there and finished watching the movie. So yeah, it's very Latino, my dad. Yeah, so we would have probably heard.
No.
The creepiest theater experience I've ever had. We went and watched Conjuring 1, I believe it was. And like halfway through the movie, there was this Hispanic family. They had set like a few rows up from us. And matter of fact, we were in might have been it wasn't the Tift Theater, it was about Austin Theater. So it's set up like a stadium kind of.
Yeah.
So they were a few rows up from us, and there's a certain scene in the movie. And I guess they were a very religious family. So literally they start walking down the steps and they're praying in Spanish.
Really?
And it creeped me. Because like literally they're walking like this, like in line, and they're chanting. Because it sounds like chant. I was like, and I looked, I said, man, one or two things just happened. We're all going to hell right now. Well, they just planted a damn bomb up there for you to blow up. So I wasn't sure what it was for like an hour. I was just like, does death get me one way or the other? But it was just like, it was probably my creepiest theater
That's a good
experience.
theater experience.
Yeah.
For me, it was watching the third Exorcist, the one with the old folks. Where okay,
I don't remember even seeing that one.
Father Damien is actually in a nut house in this movie.
we watched it together.
We did.
The one where they're
I never saw the movie here, but yeah, we watched it together.
we watched it together at home, and it was really creepy.
Yeah, it was.
When the lady was crawling on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was really good. So
Anytime they do that.
the movie theater I was sitting in was kind of empty.
Mhm.
No one wanted to see that movie because it was scary. And so I was all the way out to the right where there was an aisle where people could walk by.
Mhm.
And I kept seeing shadows go on. I'm pretty sure the theater was 100. And I was like, wow.
If I don't look, they're not.
Am I the only person? You know how like most of the theaters have like these little curtain walls, there's like little curtains that was over the walls. Was I the only person like tugging them, like making sure no one was behind
It's
there?
behind it.
I was convinced someone was gonna come out from under one of these damn curtains one day and just
You always
snatch
just
me
have
up.
to push on it until you hit wall. Like, okay, there's no cubby.
Well, it was really like there was that much space. And you're like, you're doing this,
You know,
but
it's funny, I've done that at adult theaters.
just making sure people,
At that point, I'm getting excited.
just making sure Pee Wee Herman wasn't behind there.
Yeah, right. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Carey. It was nice to have you on the show.
Hands and high five.
Okay.
We got Miss Kim over here. She is into the far right. She is the lady behind Mr. Kev. Of across the zone. She is the backbone of the organization. She keeps Kevin them on track.
She only has a small cattle prod.
Yeah, it's like this big maybe.
Yeah.
But she's the one. She's the backbone behind everything. So she keeps them going.
So I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Special effects. I thought the story was good as well. It was a younger predator. Not, if I understand it correctly, it wasn't one of the more battle-scarred or battle-ready predators.
Well, I think that was their test. They would send them to a planet, drop them off, and if they survived, they were supposed to bring back spoils or trophies.
Yeah.
That was their thing. That was their coming of age, so to speak.
So was it canon? So was it?
It's my understanding it is. And I got a friend, he's a follower of the channel, and he interacts a great deal on the Facebook page. And he called it the Disney Predator. Because, Disney now technically owns Predator. And he was like, oh, it's a Disney Predator. I was like, there were some great kills in this. I mean, like, you got no indication that Disney was the financing behind this. Because, I mean, it had...
They're smart. They won't try and cut things.
No, I mean, there was some great kills in this. I mean, it wasn't just, over the top violence or language or anything of this nature, no nudity, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to have that to be a great movie. I'm not opposed to it, but you don't have to have it.
I mean, from what I saw, it looked like Native Americans, they have to bathe in a waterfall at some point. I'm just saying.
It's almost like a testament to the movie. If she's not topless at the bottom of a waterfall,
I'm just saying, if they really want to make it, 80s slasher type.
So you studios listening, this is what Mr. Mittens is looking for.
I'm just saying, not in a tasteless way, a tasteful way, artistic way.
Okay.
Come on now, y'all come back now.
All right.
But coming out soon. Sci-fi. Anything coming out in the future?
The next thing I'm pretty stoked for in sci-fi is horror. It's going to be Terrifier 2. They keep teasing things. A lot on Instagram. If you follow David Howard Thornton or Damien Leone on Instagram, they're very active on there and they're posting. And apparently the theme for Terrifier 2 is just like it's way up high on iTunes. Like they released the theme and it's like catapulted up to the top of the charts of iTunes. It's crazy. Which I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of I put Terrifier 1 theme on a lot of shit on our social media because I just dig the hell out of it.
That was great.
So, what do you have coming up that you feel like you're most excited for?
So probably some of the DC stuff that's coming out. I don't know how soon it's coming out. I know that there's Black Adam.
Black Adam looks really good.
Looks really good. I don't know when the release date of that is yet. But that looks pretty good. Aquaman 2, I think is coming out.
So while we're talking about DC properties, what's you guys' take on the whole fiasco with Ezra Miller and the Flash? Should they release it? Should they not? Or should they cut their losses? What do you feel? I mean, the movie's wrapped, from what I understand. I mean, it's in the bank. They're in post-production. All they have to do is finish the effects and get it out. So do they do that, weather the storm and make their money, or do they just bank it and take a hell of a loss?
It would depend on how his contract is involved.
Well, they've already said they've cut ties with him. He is no longer a DC employee. So
if he's
other than residuals, I assume they will owe him contractual bound through the profits of the movie. They're done with it.
The only way I would release is if I could just cut him completely loose, like him not get any money from the movie. Because if he is as crazy and doing the crazy stuff he's doing.
So you would eat $100 million loss.
Batwoman was a $7 million.
Yeah, and they said it came off as a very poorly done WB show. And I hate that because I really wanted to see Keaton in the Batman suit again.
It didn't show up at the Chicago. Was it the last big?
I believe they were there.
They were
hyping it.
There were some. They didn't go to one of the last big conventions because
They didn't go to San Diego Comic-Con. That was the tale right there because they went to a con previously just before that, less than a month earlier maybe. And then a month later, they didn't hit Comic-Con, so everybody started scratching their head like, I mean, whether people wanted to see this Batwoman movie or not, the fans want to see Keaton
they would.
in that suit again. That's the only thing that sells me on this Flash movie at all. Because I really don't give a damn about Ezra Miller or the Flash. I'm a Keaton fan. To see, Casey, the Flash sucks. Just to get that in there to you, because Casey loves the Flash and thinks that. Well, he thinks he will battle to the death. Like when we're in group text, the Flash can beat everyone. He is almost God.
Tifton Ga.
Like he is, his Flash is omnipotent.
I mean, you know. But okay.
Batman has one bullet that can just maul him. Hey, listen to him. He's literally in his comments like, hold up.
I mean, you know.
Don't slander me.
He's pretty fast, you know. So
That's why I can't keep him.
He's a great. Hey, you know what?
But I don't know. So what I read was that the DC didn't want to spend millions that it costs to send somebody to San Diego Comic-Con.
We have another guest star who just walked in the door.
I'm kidding.
You're in the mirror.
I've just been threatened with death. I love you, baby. You step off right there.
See, the only thing with the whole Ezra Miller thing, okay, I wouldn't want to eat that much money, but I would definitely take it down to tooth and nail keeping money.
I think you just do PR. You do PR and say, look, we do not condone his actions. He has done some very foolish things. His legal obligations are between him and his lawyer.
Yeah.
As a studio, we're unaware of this. We're supporting
This was done unaware to, unknowledge.
Okay, so then I would equate it to the gentleman that worked for Subway. I know that his crimes were a little more egregious, but then they pulled all his stuff off of Subway. So then that's maybe the direction that they're going is.
Now we have Russell Wilson doing them Subway commercials, not Jared.
I mean, as
And the thing is,
so you want to represent your company.
And it's crazy. I mean, look at what a future he had and how. I mean, he had millions of dollars, a franchise behind him with a massive studio, and this idiot is fighting people at karaoke bars and breaking into people's house for bottles of wine. Bottles of wine.
Carrie fights people at karaoke bars all the time.
they asked for it.
See, that's why he cringed when when she snuck in because she was about to put the elbow on him.
So that's the way I look at it. Do you want someone representing your company who is crazy? I mean, I don't know what's wrong with him mentally. Maybe something's wrong with him mentally.
Well, he could be bipolar and undiagnosed.
Medically, something's wrong with him, but you want him representing people who like him. And it's unfortunate, but they expend a lot of money lately on I don't understand. Oh, yeah, I do understand. The Batwoman thing was that the production of it was
From what they're saying, what has been released, they are saying that it was not salvageable. But no matter how they cut the movie, it tested poorly with the audience, and no matter how they cut it, it was just like it was like a WB show with too much budget and not as good as a WB show. But
I would still.
So both of you guys would eat your losses on this. Is that what we're saying?
I would have done the Batwoman movie. I would have done that at the very least.
Yeah, I would.
Even if the production of it was crappy.
Why not just get straight to streaming? I mean, you've got your deal with HBO Max. Shove it straight to HBO Max, and if you don't think it does well in theaters, and you at least recoup something. I mean, if no one watches it, it's on streaming. Yeah, I mean, you got your rights, and if a couple new subscribers come in for that. So I don't know. I think they have too much money in this to be able to afford to just dupe it like that, unless it's a deal where it's as Monster would jump in right now and give me the legal business. He would probably say this is a tax write-off. Because I mean, you got to look at between the two, you're probably talking $200 million easily.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a shame. There's so much talent involved in this movie beyond this. Just because one asshole can't act right.
Yeah.
So that brings need to same topic line, but so is that what's making comic companies go into trouble? Valiant's in trouble, DC's in trouble. But is it because they're spending too much money and they're now in the red because of that? So
Well, you wonder how much of DC's problems, comic-wise, they're not tying them in with the studio properties.
Yeah.
Because they're losing their ass studio-wise because their studio, the DC universe, cinematic universe, hasn't been as fortunate as the Marvel cinematic universe. A lot of that was just poor planning and too much changing, and you spaced your movies too far out apart, things of this nature. But you almost wonder they're not dragging the publishing company with it. And I just willing to write off all of it because, they just, me and Marshall were talking about this a few weeks ago. They just redone the Warner Brothers office, wherever it was in California, I believe.
Yeah.
DC doesn't have an office in there any longer. They've had an office in there for years. They no longer have an office in the Warner Brothers facility.
Wow.
So is it because of, COVID, people working from home, or is it a deal where they just like, hey, we don't foresee you being with us much longer?
What was that one company in the 90s that was, I think it was Bart Sears was part of it, I want to say.
I don't remember seeing something.
So it was a company that was started by some folks that were ex-Marvel executives, I believe, and they wanted the whole original Marvel Studios feel behind it, where everybody had their own office. There was a publishing studio that had a whole room that was rented out. Everyone had their own drawing tables, and they worked right out of that. Instead of working from home, and you collected all your artwork and sent it out. They wanted the whole kit and caboodle. They wanted the whole thing. Oh, I think about makeup.
I can imagine
They
it's.
spend too much money doing it.
Yeah, well, Image, that was probably the smartest thing they did. They didn't do that.
Right.
They allowed everyone to work from home, mail in their stuff, or Xerox it. I mean, that was real big in the 90s, was scanning and Xeroxing and faxing, so to speak. So, they kept their originals, shot the stuff into them, and went. And Image is still here today.
Yeah.
They have a lot of unfinished products, unfortunately. Like just a few years ago, that's the last thing I went in for with Image, was Image United. It was such a cool concept. Each book had every artist drawing their own character.
Yeah.
And the Omega Spawn was such a cool looking villain. It was like, oh shit, Al Simmons is becoming a villain.
Yeah.
And he's like accepted what Mal Bolger wanted him to do. This is really cool. And we got two issues with a teaser of a third, and nothing. And it was only a six-part series, but we didn't get the rest.
So what does that mean? Do you think that the comic industry as a whole is that doing well? That the paper comics, do you think maybe as
I don't think they are.
Not like it once was.
I think most of it now is you had people with history with the comics, and everybody is constantly changing their comics, starting them over. And
The reboot is what's killed a lot of the momentum to me.
Like, I could understand whenever you started to come out with Marvel movies and stuff, maybe do an offshoot, like if they would have done that in around that time, put out the Ultimate book, that kind of thing would have worked real well, because then you could have kind of correlated stuff together. But whenever you just reboot over here, you have this comic, and you reboot over here, and then with DC, they just don't seem to do real well together with combining both.
And DC did a reboot too.
Oh, numerous.
That to me is like, as a fan, you invest years. Well, like with your brand right here, could you imagine? Okay, say you were fortunate enough, and
Thousand
well, you
comics
will
down the line.
say you're 10 years into this. You're an established brand. You have several issues. Each one of your characters, they're on up in a couple hundred issues. Do you ever see yourself just say, you know what, sales aren't where I really want them to? If I do a new number one as a reboot or rebrand, it's going to spike sales. Yes, it will for that one issue. But they adhere to fans that aren't really there for that. And they change things. They get a little more woke than they should, I guess, just to try to draw in. And I get it, you've got to draw in audiences that aren't typically buying. But you have to be smart about it. You don't shit on your loyal base. To say you have a base of 1 million people that buy Flash every month. You don't just erase his history, start him over because you think you might can draw in a few more. Because a lot of those fans will walk away, and I did that for a long time. When New 52 came out, I kept Batman and Green Lantern because they kept the continuity. And I did get Justice League only because Jim Lee was on the art.
That's right.
Because I'm such a Jim Lee fan, I was like, I can tough out. And the story wound up being good.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't, but it was like they took some liberties when I wasn't real happy with some things. So when they come back around and got back right, I was like, okay, I can jump back on DC.
Yeah.
But then now they went back into this future state where you're getting rid of your established characters, and Marvel is just as guilty. Spider-Man will get right up there, and all of a sudden, maybe Spider-Man #1. We're gonna start over. Fine. Stay where you're at.
They have way too many like branched out titles of the same characters. That's another thing. Just in my head, it seems like it's worth more, and you have more stories if you focus on one comic.
So okay, are you saying as a publisher, if you were Marvel, so you had the Marvel playpen with all those characters.
Yep.
So let's just say I'm not sure how many titles they do a month. Let's just say they do $75 a month.
Yeah.
What would you feel? Would you confident doing a month? What would be your titles?
That I don't know because I haven't been into comics very much in a while. But what I'm talking about, there's Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, this Spider-Man, that Spider-Man, that Spider-Man, and then it's all coming out at the same time. Like, let's say you do have somebody interested in it, or a young kid interested in it. He ain't gonna have enough money to go buy one issue each one, every one, unless his parents, give him a bunch of money.
Well, typically those books, or at least when I used to buy all of those, it was a different storyline per each title.
Oh yeah, and
He had Spider-Man, but he may during the Spectacular he may be battling Green Goblin for 3 issues.
Yeah.
But over in Amazing, he's fighting the Puma.
Yeah.
Or in Web of Spider-Man, it's Kraven the Hunter or somebody.
If you cut it down a little bit, it'll last you longer, and it makes it where they only have a few to get, and maybe you could take the money you were going to spend on this other one, where it's going to be spent down the line, in line with these couple of titles you have. Then you can use that on maybe kind of come up with something new to get new people in.
So I think it's a matter of what hasn't been done. How much writing has taken place in the past 50 to 75 years? Think about that.
Oh yeah.
What hasn't been done? So you're having to hire new writers. And what's happening is that with the new writer, the younger people, they have a whole new different
It's a different perspective.
Yeah.
They do. So that's why we have this new culture of what people call or
A very entitled generation.
however you want to put it, or whatever you want to name it, it's a whole new person that's writing. So I think that with that you have the different types of stories, and then you have the editors and publishers themselves saying, "Oh yeah, we'll give it a shot because that's what's in now." Right? Again, this is my perspective. So then, what hasn't been done? Think about that. Like, think about how many issues of Spider-Man have been put out. So
Well,
what do
that's
you do different?
thousands.
Yeah.
What do you do different? Yeah. What do you do?
Well, my thought on it would like just, I mean, it's big Spider-Man because he likes Spider-Man. Jab occasionally. Anyway, like let's say you want to try something different. If you only have you have a couple of storylines or a couple of titles that can keep going, that all these other little side titles and all, condense them down to one. That way, okay, he's doing this time, next time might work. Instead of doing Green Goblin and Puma in 2 different comics, you do the Green Goblin. Once he's done with that, I'm finally able to rest. Oh, here comes Puma. Smack.
So Casey had a good point right here. Best thing about it, he reads a lot of Japanese comics. Best thing about Japanese comics is they stay with the same artist and creator through the whole run. They don't, ruin their work that way. So, that's good. But what you're saying, and I get it, and I like
Well,
it.
like with him saying something new, okay, if it's something new, that way, if you want to try it out, that's where I would like the six run miniseries, like with the what was it with the like
Pretty much
Wendigo-
everything now.
Wendigo and Spider-Man.
Pretty much all the titles. It's a continuation. Like back in the 80s when you went and picked up a book, it was self-contained.
Yeah.
Like if you picked up an issue of Spider-Man, Batman, whatever, it might be 30, 40 pages for that issue, which is far more than what you get today.
Yeah.
However, you had to start and finish that story. It might have a thread that carried along for a few issues, but it was an underlining thread as opposed to, now each book is designed to go for 6 issues to sell the trade paperback.
Okay, so Casey, stop Casey, stop me if I'm wrong here, but manga books and anime, it's not episodic. It's one continuous
Yeah.
story. So like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Justice League, Batman, it's episodic. You'll have a 6-issue, 2-issue, 4-issue storyline, and in the background something that keep going on, and you have that issue number 10. It's the culmination of everything that you just read 1 through 9, and then you can come up with a whole new story. Whereas in manga, it's if you can have 150 issues of the same storyline, you're just following the life of that person, whether it be jumping back and forth, or you're following that life.
Kind of like how Dragon Ball Z would like end an episode, would go, and start back the episode,
And you would have 5 episodes of that. And then
of screaming.
And then the culmination of it would be that 7th or 8th episode where now there's the fight.
He finally admits his burst.
Yeah.
We literally watched a few episodes with the Grandma a couple weekends ago. And
Didn't
There-
miss
there's a
anything
whole lot of-
walking away.
So it's the difference in comics. I Savage Dragon.
I enjoyed that.
Okay, that is one long continuous story. It's not. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's not. I'm not gonna let it know, but I know that it's not as broken up into issues. It's just one long storyline that has been continued. So is that better for the industry, or is it better to have it in the traditional sense, where you break it up into issues? Which is better?
I like a continuation. Like you feel like you're traveling along with a lot. And that's probably why I like Spider-Man as much as I have throughout the years. To where each issue was kind of contained. Like if Peter Parker's running into issue in 270, like he don't know how he's gonna pay his lights. In issue 271, while he may be fighting a different villain and no longer dealing with the problems of issue 270, it's like he may come home with his lights cut off. And you had these small threads that were a continuation that were really good to me. And I don't have to have 40 different titles for each one. My main thing is like when you have a major crossover, let's just say, and I know it feels like we're beating on Marvel here, but that they do a crossover with like the one we got with the X-Men and the Celestials right now, or the Eternals, with the Celestials coming back. It'll be in every issue, and it'll be in issues of shit that it shouldn't touch. Like it'll be in Speedball or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, why are you in this, right? 'Cause I
So to
remember,
get all the story, you got to go
Yeah.
grab something you've never grabbed before just to be
well,
able to
a lot of times it don't even pertain to it. It's like I remember, a few years ago when I done the World War Hulk. I loved it, by the way. I'm not knocking it.
Oh yeah, that was good.
But like the Ghost Rider tie-in, you could have met. There was a Ghost Rider tie-in to World War Hulk. Basically, Hulk is going through the streets, looking for these people that he's wanting to, the Illuminati, basically. They shot him into space. He wants revenge.
That's right.
Okay, Ghost Rider just having strolling through. He's going to defend things. And actually, Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider does not lose to World War Hulk. He don't lose to World Breaker, World War Hulk. But however, at the end of it, it's a stalemate between the two, basically. And they go their separate ways. So there was like no reason for it. It didn't pertain. When you were reading the World War Hulk issues, that didn't tie in. And there was no ramifications of the story. That's the kind of crossover tie-ins. It's like, why?
Yeah,
I mean, that you slap that banner across the top to sell an issue. And it was a good story, but for every one of those good stories like that, you got the one where Blue Beetle's tying into 0 hour and nobody gives a shit. And there's nothing to come out of other than, oh, wow, 0 hour.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, so I think it's just becoming increasingly difficult to write books. And like, what are you gonna do now? You've done it. Fantastic Four. Didn't they have to end it? And didn't it stop for like?
Well, they literally was about to kill Reed off again recently.
Yeah.
And from what Monster told me that they didn't, so I haven't read it. I'm behind on it. So
That's one of the longest running comics, other than like Spider-Man or something. Fantastic Four.
they predate Spider-Man. They do.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, what do you do with that? Now what do you do? What do you write? How many more ways can you write Doctor Doom into the story? Now it's
Yeah, because like he is very much their prominent villain.
yeah. So now what do you do?
And he's a Marvel Universe villain at this point. But you don't have they don't have the Rogues Gallery a lot. Like Spider-Man, you're fortunate enough he has a Rogues Gallery right there with Batman. Like the two of those.
Even then, what are you going to do?
How many Joker stories can you have?
So then I think what happens is that as you have new years, right? Because like we're all old readers, right?
Yeah.
So well, I'm not calling you old. I'm saying that we
Ancient.
were reading books for a long
We're
time.
dated.
We're dated readers. But then, so I think that the newer readers will pick up on it and go, oh, this is cool. And they start following it. And it's new to them, where to us, it's something that's like, oh, I have all this stuff. This has already happened. I've read it 1,000 times. So now, what do you do? Now, what do you do? So you have to just keep thinking of new
What
ways.
do you do?
Rebrand. You rebrand, you reimage, you reestablish them again. As much as it sucks, you make all the characters reborn again. And then it sucks.
So you're a fan of the actual the
Is that-
rebranding, so to speak, for number one.
Fan, I'm understanding it. I get why it happens. I'm not listen, Steve Rogers, Captain America, 1960, 70. I just picked up, I told you, I bought a bunch of those. I bought Captain America and Falcon. Some of them were drawn by Jack Kirby. I bought a bunch of Captain America drawn by Jack Kirby. I found them at an antique shop.
Oh wow!
I spent $250 on comics. I was carried out and going through, oh, look at this. And I found a bunch of them. And when I got home, I was like, what the hell did I just spend $250? I was like, what the hell did I do? But as I'm going through it, I'm thinking, oh, no wonder I bought this, because this is like my childhood.
Yeah.
So I love that stuff. And then when they made Captain America, what was Falcon, when they made him Captain America, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand why they do it.
We see that's kind of thing. That's a continuation of the story. It's like a chapter. I'm fine with that. When you erase continuity, is where I draw the line. Because then you feel like you've wasted years of your life. So you've read comics. I've been reading comics since I was 8.
Right.
You know, I would literally walk to the convenience store down the road from my house. I'd scrape up a few bucks. I'd find in couch cushions. Walk down to the convenience store, buy the issue of Spider-Man because that was my go-to of the day. And if I could afford another issue of something else, and then later it was Ghost Rider, you know, then X-Men, because I was primarily Marvel back in the day. But it's when you invest all this time in these characters, and all of a sudden, the new number one is aggravating, but when they completely erase continuity
So then are you
to reboot a character, I'm not a fan of
So are
that.
you okay with keeping the continuity, or then just introducing something new, and then having that as a background type of thing?
I can deal with that a lot better than I can completely. Like New 52, I could not. I just couldn't. And Marvel has done some of that, but they're a little more subtle with their approach of that. So the way they handle it, I can kind of stomach. DC will just completely say,
I didn't care.
yeah, and then when they realize they shit the bed with it, it's like, all right, let's go back to what worked.
Let's kind
Then
of
it's
find
like,
a way to get
hey,
back to what we were.
We loved you all along.
Right.
We're gonna bring back your characters from your childhood. You know,
Here you go.
yeah.
Sorry, a tip for new readers. It failed.
Well, they realize, I mean, you've got your niche. I mean, let's just face it. Comic books, they have their fan base. Yeah, you can draw in some new people that are outside of that realm occasionally. But for the most part, it's just like anything. Like baseball has its fans. You're not drawing football fans into all baseball. Like baseball fans aren't going to watch football. And, but you have your fan base adhere to that. Don't shit on your fan base to draw in these fans that aren't coming anyways. Because what happens, you have this initial spike. You'll sell out 1 million copies of issue 1. It's amazing. It's great. But what happens when issue 2 comes? Issue 3. And then you have this plummet that's below what your initial sales would have been had you not done that. So that one issue doesn't justify, the sales loss you had
I mean,
overall.
if your light bill's coming up, I'm just saying.
You got lights in December too. We're not just paying October's lights.
You got a little behind. You're trying to catch up.
So I think that like the bigger companies like the Digis and the place is an example. So like kind of off topic, but still on the same topic. Disney doesn't care. You guys can like,
Oh, yeah.
they can care less. They're like, hey, we're gonna make Star Wars the way we want. And if you were a fan of the original 3 Star Wars movies that came out, and you don't like the ones that were coming out now, too bad. We're gonna keep making them, and people will continue to buy them.
Oh, yeah.
So then, do we like? At what point,
Ignorant children continue to buy.
so then, as fans, do we go?
At what point did you feel like the younglings getting slaughtered by Anakin?
I love that.
Don't read it.
Yeah, I'm always
3
rooting for-
movies.
I'm always rooting for the bad guys, man.
Yeah.
I'm a bad guy rooter. So.
Whenever Luke acted like he was going to try and kill a child, that's whenever I was.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a fan of a lot of the new stuff they've done. That second of that trilogy was terrible. There
That
was
is
nothing
Luke
redeeming
Skywalker.
about it. There was nothing good about it. It was just bad.
The
Like, the
third,
first one was good. The second one was terrible.
the third
And they
one,
tried to salvage it
yeah,
with the third.
tried, but it was like the certain fights or certain scenes were good, but on a whole, it wasn't really good. It was just you like those fights.
On the third one,
Yeah,
I actually enjoyed the third one. I thought they tried to do as much as they could to salvage it
They
and pull it
tried.
back, pull the nose.
I
Like,
agree.
but I'm sorry.
but really, the only thing good about the second one was Luke just showing up as a Force ghost and kicking
Yeah.
ass.
Exactly.
He's like, this son of a bitch projected himself across the galaxy.
Yeah, that's-
And I did like the Emperor at the end, and that I like that.
That was
battle,
cool. That was
But at
cool.
the same time, I wasn't sure about the way it went.
Well, it made sense. I mean,
Yeah, it made sense
if
for
you
what
were
they
a
did.
fan that read the extended universe novels, he cloned himself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just jumped into the essence of another body. They actually done it as he survived a little bit and done that. So, and they couldn't keep it up. So I was okay with that there. But Disney's got it. If you don't watch it, it'll go down.
Yeah.
They're going to continue and they're going to sell all the plush dolls tomorrow.
Yes, they will.
And their Disneyland is going to do quite well.
Yeah, that's so the Star Wars. We're talking about this history. You and I, the Star Wars Hotel in Disney. The Star Wars Hotel. Yeah, it's $2,000 a night. Oh, I may be exaggerating. Maybe like $2,000.
It is ridiculously high. It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Well, that's for the children that were young whenever they first watched it. Now they got footage of it.
And they don't care.
Yeah.
And they're doing visual. Every time that I turn and I read something or I watch something on YouTube about how the hotel's doing, it's still profitable. They're going to keep pumping money into it.
They can afford the loss.
Yeah.
And it's gotten more and more, so.
Well, look at their cruise versus a regular cruise. You go on a regular cruise for, a reasonable amount. A Disney cruise is like 3-4 times what you would spend on any other cruise. But you know what? People pay for it.
Because it's Disney. It's more, it's
So it's an established brand. And if you have an established brand, you can pretty much set the moon for what you want.
yeah, there was also someone else that I was watching some YouTube channels that complaining about Star Wars. And,
Casey says tasteful reboots are nice. Okay. But respect the source material. We'll give you that.
Yes. Yes.
So we've been going pretty good a little while, guys. Got a good show going. So let's move into nerd out. Monster will be upset if we did not have nerd out. So let's have a nerd out here. I'm gonna go first since I'm the
this
host.
is your show.
This is my show. I'm gonna go first. My nerd out question to you guys, and you both fire. You got the opportunity to play with either Marvel Sandbox DC sandbox, but you got to simplify it down. 6 titles. You're not rebooting, but you're just going to focus. You're going to streamline their product down to 6 titles. What are your 6 titles, and what universe are you playing in? Mittens, we'll start with you.
Let's see.
You don't even have to have read the last few years.
Yeah, with me, the easiest one for me is DC because it is established. Well, it's established just as well as Marvel, but Marvel has so many teams in my head.
Okay.
So it would be pretty much Justice League, Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern.
I was just gonna say, you're not gonna get Green Lantern some love. Who is your Green Lantern for a bonus person?
That is a good question. Is Hal still alive?
Hal was still alive.
I would have to go with Hal.
Is he gonna say they're 28-14?
I don't know. That I don't know. He may have to take a hiatus and go
Space
across the
Battle?
way. Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you that. Dan?
I think it have to be something established also, right? Maybe some established stuff and some non-established stuff. So, Animal Man, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, Animal Man in DC. I thought was one of the better series that came out. But that character is awful from the beginning. I don't like it.
Did you see him on Justice League Unlimited? They had a good take of him on there.
They did. They had a good take of him on there and also in Justice League Dark.
Yeah.
And on there also. That was good. So I would take one not so established, and then on the Marvel side. So let's start with this. I would say Marvel side.
Okay.
But I like Animal Man.
There you go.
But Iron Man for sure. I think Iron Man's a cool character.
Okay.
Captain America. Fantastic Four. Spider-Man for sure.
Who's overrated?
No, my pimp hand.
X-Men.
Okay.
Big X-Men fan. And I like Namor or Superman.
That's what's up right there,
I don't
bro.
like the original.
That's what's up.
Namor or Superman.
So it is a anti-hero in your book?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
The original means he didn't care much to play around with
The surface dwellers.
the source.
I like that.
That was fun.
I like that. I'm a Marvel man. Hands down. I mean, I love a lot of the DC characters, but I just am a Marvel person.
I am as well. I just did it's too many for me to pick from there.
It would be a challenge. Don't get me wrong. It would be not only a challenge, but a fun challenge to do the DC side. And I know what my 6 titles will be, but I am Marvel at heart. So Spider-Man, hands down. Your mom. X-Men, the Avengers. You gotta be careful. Fantastic Four. Ghost Rider would be a must.
I miss those women. I agree.
And Hulk.
Yeah.
Because Hulk doesn't fit into my Avengers the way he should be written. And yeah, as easy it would be to have a Captain America title, a Thor, Iron Man. To me, you can get enough of them in the Avengers because they're your big 3 for the Avengers, kind of like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are your big 3 for the Justice League. So I could do enough of them in Avengers to free up our title book. If that were my launch, that would be my titles.
Yeah. Ghost Rider would be good too. I'm a big Ghost Rider fan.
But my Ghost Rider would be Danny Ketch. It would not be Dan Blaze, guys. Danny Ketch.
I liked Robbie.
Robbie Reyes?
I didn't mind him. I thought it was all right. Yeah,
Even though he's not a true spirit of vengeance, and Casey, he probably just got a hard on listening to that because he loves him.
I like the muscle car.
The Hell Challenger is cool.
He just went by.
Yeah, there you go. Raising hell.
I mean, there he goes.
But I don't know. I'm a Dan Ketch, man. He's a true spirit of vengeance. The angel of vengeance. I like to continue his story a little better.
Honorable mentions for me would be Ghost Rider and Thor.
Okay.
I didn't think about that.
So what is you guys nerd out?
I'll let you go first because I have
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
I'll get like 5 hours of sleep. Maybe less.
You got it.
All right. All right, I got it. DC movie Justice League versus DC versus Marvel movie Avengers.
Ooh.
Who takes that?
Who wins?
Who wins that?
Are we going with what you already have established?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
what we
Oh,
know.
Avengers. Avengers. Just because Marvel's done such an amazing job of fleshing out their cinematic universe versus what DC's done. And don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of Henry Cavill as Superman. I loved Affleck as Batman. And I like Momoa as Aquaman. He plays it well, even though they done the whole that's not what that character is. That's my thing. Is like I'd much rather see him be Namor because it would fit. Because like with what they've done with Namor, for his cinematic, I can get behind that because no one knows where Atlantis was or should have been historically. So it could be anything. However, Arthur Curry is very blonde hair, blue eyes. So when you got a character that established and old, I like to stick a little more to that. And I will give him credit for the first movie. He did have like the blonde highlights a little bit. So it's like, okay. He's extremely tan and not blue eyed, but okay.
I like that reboot.
It was a good movie. It was a really great movie. And even though Amber Heard is a psychopath, she did a good part in it.
Yeah, it's a whole other story, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a whole other podcast.
A whole nother one. So what you got, Mittens?
It's a difficult question because there's the one thing in there that can put as far as from Marvel established movies and DC established movies is Superman. Well, and the Flash. Honestly, I would have to go with DC.
Really?
Just because in the Marvel universe, there's nobody that has the power Superman has. Plus, the first thing that popped in my head was Iron Man is smart enough, Spider-Man's smart enough to get kryptonite, be able to, take it down a notch. But you got the Flash there. The Flash could diffuse that situation rather quickly. Because even though Spider-Man has Spidey sense and can dodge stuff, I don't know that Flash is. I think he might be faster than Spidey sense.
You bet. So what's your nerd out question? We have theme music. This is the wonder of downtown Tifton.
I'm not very good on nerd questions.
Where's your mask at? Put your damn mask
I'm
on.
sorry. The first thing that pops in my head is well, I think we already asked the question of what movies we want to see come out. See, this is the problem.
Casey wants to imagine what the Flash would do in the MCU. And that's Casey, that's a good nerd out question there, baby. Thank you.
See, that's why I texted him and told him to ask that.
Okay, well, you leech his question then. Is that what you want to do?
I have no idea. I'm just throwing stuff in.
So Quicksilver
His ass.
it would get his butt by Flash.
I will give you that. I will give you
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because that's now are the Marvel cinematic characters more underpowered?
I think they are.
Yeah, I think they did
DC
do.
characters? I think so.
Yeah, they went. DC went over the top and gave them the levels they should have, to where Marvel has kind of kept them here versus here. But now Wanda, of course, by the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, she has got where she would be.
I didn't bring in the magic stuff.
There you go.
That equalizes Flash, and I think it's a tie. The universe will end.
Yeah.
It would just end.
Casey's giving us Quicksilver some love here. Way to go, Casey. That's what's up. He did a lot in a short amount of time. He only got a half a movie, but still. You don't have a question, right?
No, I don't. It's-
By our next
it's blank.
episode, Mittens will have it text
It's
me
blank.
his question.
Yeah, like
For- And we'll give a little love out for Monster, who has texted me and said that he can't get on for some reason. He is frozen out of the internet world right now. So, with that being said, guys, we've had a pretty good show here. Dan, you got anything you want to plug?
Xyber Ronin #1. I've got plenty of issues left. Check me out on my Facebook page if you want to buy some. Sell them for cheap. It's the preview of issue #1. And I am autographing it with the zone. Yep.
ZOA.
Certificate.
The
ZOA.
It's a fantastic certificate of authenticity signed by me. Just reach out to me and I'll ship you.
Mittens, do you have any litter boxes you'd like to plug?
Looking forward to Call of Duty.
Okay. You know, for our
We didn't
gamers,
get-
there
we
you
didn't
go.
get any. We didn't get any game love, but it's so way.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna give you your own nerd out question right now.
Okay.
What comic game would you like to see produced? Put out there.
That is a good question.
I know I've come up with it. That's
Uh,
why Monster's fortunate to have me.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
There you are. How was the dancing?
I would actually have to go with an X-Men game, but I mean, I want it like big open world, being able to do numerous kind of mutations, whether you want to have super strength, be tech savvy, stuff.
So
like
you're
that.
talking like a City of Heroes set in the X-Men universe?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So you're not playing with one of the X-Men. You're playing with your created mutant within the parameters of the X-Men universe.
Yes. Have them be in there.
Take my fucking money now. You
Yeah,
got me.
yeah.
You got me.
But they're going to have to do a much better job than DC Online. DC Online got very repetitive.
It's just monotonous and very repetitive. After the third villain you face, it's like, okay, it's the same sequence, just endless waves.
City of Heroes is out again.
Really?
It's called City of Titans, I think, or something. Titan City.
You know what? Big Rob may have actually told me this.
I remember him saying it was you can get on the servers, you had to get.
He was saying something he couldn't remember his login. I was like, I already know. I'm not my login.
No, me either. I was one of the founders of that game.
As was I. I bought the set that had the hero clicks with it.
That's
Yep.
right.
I was like super
I saw
into
that
it.
stuff in my house somewhere. The original comics and everything.
And whenever City Villains came out, I put in some hours. I was Shadow Blade, stabbing people in the back, shanking.
And running in the walls as you fell asleep.
That's right.
That was more of y'all than me. I was constantly on task.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Kind of monster when he was our medic and our healer and he was blasting people and running into the fray.
I can't keep y'all alive all the time, Daniel. I was a tank. I'm supposed to take the damage. Here comes Gary.
We would be
Really?
like, monster,
What?
you're the
You're
healer.
supposed to save us.
Stay in the back.
It's like, yeah.
But I was just guilty because I'd
Yeah.
have a blaster and then I'd be blasting. Next thing I know, I'm in there like tanking. It's
Yeah.
like,
That
I couldn't
push
help
to
it.
get people away, you run after them.
oh yeah, they were taking that.
Yes.
They were taking it. So
I'm just like, they're like running over here fighting. I'm just like, where are y'all going? I'm right here.
did you plug your socials?
Oh, so check me out on Daniel Garcia on Facebook, Daniel Garcia on Instagram, and there's one on Twitter. I just can't remember. Daniel Garcia. There's a whole long number associated with it. But,
Just look up Daniel Garcia.
Yeah, I'm not really on Twitter often, but Xyber Ronin is on Facebook. And just look at Xyber Ronin on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see myself on there. So if you want to buy some stuff, check me out on there, and hopefully we'll have the first issue done by the end of the month. And send out to the backers, and then we'll be running issue 2 in a couple months.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I want to give a little love to Design Collectibles, our sponsor across the road right here in Tifton, Georgia. Mr. Kevin and Miss Kim, they give us a ton of love and support, so we cannot thank them enough. Huge shout out to them. If you need anything for your nerdy needs, hit them up. Tifton, Georgia, downtown. You won't be disappointed.
Main Street. Main Street.
Man, see, look at this man.
We're on
This
Main
is what I'm
Street.
talking about right here. See, Monster usually has an address. He throws that out there for me. I just sit here and smile while he does that. So, Monster, you're missed. Yeah. So next week we'll be back and we'll have our John Wick episode where we will finally do our rewind episode and give you our hit on John Wick. Until then, live long, be nerdy.
Oh.